This situation just keeps getting crazier as we wait for Connor McDavid to finally announce his extension with the Oilers. That is holding up many other Edmonton Oilers contract extensions in the process. And we will break down one player in particular today here on the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so, as 69% of you haven't hit that button down below. So to be part of the Oilers Digest Nation, make sure you hit that button for any and all Oiler news there. Now you saw, two Oilers in particular in that intro, very close in jersey numbers, number 96 and number 97, but we will focus on number 96 to begin the video here with Jake Walman. His contract ends up after this year. I mean, he's a value contract there, $3.4 million for the type of player that he is. And from everybody's favorite Edmonton media member, Mark Spector, says Jake Walman's agent Wade Arnott was in Edmonton yesterday to speak with the Oilers on an extension, but we suspect that no contract gets done before the McDavid extension is announced. But of course, things can change there. We're still waiting on number 97 before the first domino to fall to see what the Oilers will look like, in 2026, 27, and beyond there. But Jake Walman's sort of a late bloomer there, coming into the NHL, full time at 25 years of age there, with some not so stellar teams there. I mean, the Detroit Red Wings, where he sort of, came into his own there, the gritty, hitting the gritty celebration and going to the tire fire that were the San Jose Sharks last year before finally finding himself on a very good team with the Edmonton Oilers. 8 points in 15 games there, and individually wise, I mean, in the 15 games with the Oilers after the trade deadline, fantastic. Corsi percentage, Fenwick percentage, goals for percentage, outscoring the opposition 13-8 when he is on the ice there, so making a very short impact with the Oilers since he joined, but a fan favorite. I mean, I saw many number 96 Walman Oiler jerseys there, so again, making his case to be a very important part of the Oilers core, not just this year but after that. But according to Evolving Hockey's contract projections, the most likely contract for Walman is a 6-year deal carrying a $6.278 million cap hit, which would bring him to 36 years of age at the end of that contract. I mean, I'd be a huge fan of that one. 35 seems to be, where defensemen or older defensemen sort of, turn a corner there in decline. We've seen, older defensemen sort of bypass that in the past there, like Ray Bourque and Nick Lidstrom, but, those are outliers. But 6 years for Walman, I would love that contract. They predict an 18% chance of him signing such a contract, but there are other options too, and those options would be a 17% chance of signing either a 5-year or a 3-year contract extension. The 5-year deal would carry a projected cap hit of, just over $6 million, while the 3-year deal would be just over $5 million there. I mean, 3-year deal, it'd be ideal, but I'd like them a little bit longer than that year. But the 5-year deal would be, picture perfect in my eyes there, the 5 years at just over $6 million there. It would sort of, bridge the gap between, the Oilers of today and the future Oilers down the road there, with guys like, Damian Carfagna in Bo Akey. And to project the season, he is next to Darnell Nurse, in many of the fans' eyes, myself included there. Walman prominently playing on the left side there, but I mean, with Darnell Nurse, in the limited numbers that they did have together, only 23 minutes of time on ice as a pairing there. The Ekholm injury sort of threw everything in a wrench there when it came to the usual line combos there. When Jake Walman came to Edmonton, he's either was with John Klingberg or Evan Bouchard, but we didn't see Walman in Nurse too often on the ice. But when we did, I mean, he made Nurse look like an actual NHL defenseman. If we can see that for a longer period of time, I mean, it's a very short sample size here, but if that can get into bigger minutes together with those similar stat line, I would not be I would not be against that whatsoever there. I mean, Darnell Nurse at the cap hit that he has to, where you have to cherry pick his defensive partner. I mean, it's a little sad, but if anybody has to be that one partner, it would be Jake Walman there. Not only are we waiting on, McDavid for the Walman extension too, but also, a guy like Mattias Ekholm, although that may wait until the end of the season there, just to see where he's at as a player. Brett Kulak, we're still waiting on a Kulak extension. An RFA, Vasily Podkolzin. But again, this all hinges on number 97 there. And what is the latest on Connor McDavid in the Edmonton Oilers. Judd Mulder, his agent, Jeff Jackson, Stan Bowman. But from Pierre LeBrun of TSN, the concrete numbers haven't been exchanged there, so not so much of an actual update there, but we are still waiting on both sides to come to the table and try to get something together on a contract. The real question was, would you have an extension before? Never mind the start of camp, the start of season next month, the start of the season. We are still 22 days away from the start of the Oilers season. That is the question, and it is unanswered at the moment of when he will sign. What I can tell you on checking on it again on this date is that dialogue continues to be very cordial between McDavid and the Oilers and McDavid's agent, Judd Mulder. And obviously you got Jackson and Bowman involved from Oilers management. A lot of philosophical discussions back and forth. That has not stopped at any point, and no lines in the sand there. But LeBron says, just because they haven't talked doesn't mean that, they are very, very far apart on the number there, because it's not so much a traditional negotiation here between the two sides. It's McDavid and his, agents laying out what they want in the Oilers, pretty much having to pay that. I mean, I make it sound like their arm is being twisted there, but that is not the case at all. There have not been really any concrete numbers exchanged, because that part of it, I think everyone feels, will be the easy part if and when Connor McDavid is ready to do his extension. That will be a 5-minute discussion between the agent and management, because that's not what this is about. It's not about money. It's not about term. This is about him feeling comfortable with this decision and what the team is going to look like past this year and what's the best course of action for him. He wants to win a cup in Edmonton there. There's no question about it. But what makes sense for him going forward? Everyone has to understand that Connor McDavid will greenlight his agent when he feels comfortable to go to the next phase, and that has not happened yet there. So again, it's sort of a non-update wrapped in an update there from Pierre LeBrun and many of the other insiders around the league there. Not really giving anything huge in the way of what's term going to look like, what are the numbers going to look like, because that's just been speculation over the past almost 2 months since July 1st came and gone there for the start of free agency. But again, lots of questions remain as to why McDavid hasn't signed. I mean, there's no rush whatsoever. He's just trying to see what the future looks like for him. What's the best course of action there? It is kind of ironic, seeing as he's holding up, extensions like Jake Walman, Matthias Ekholm, Puck and so on and so forth there. But it's just more so seeing how comfortable McDavid can get. Not only is he making the Oilers sort of, nervous as to, what the future is going to look like, but again, this has ramifications throughout the entire National Hockey League there with Kaprizov and Eichel and other free agents there. But again, Kaprizov, turning down the contract there, just seeing what McDavid is going to sign for in the end there, and it's going to lead some very, very interesting questions as the Oilers training camp officially opens tomorrow. Medical and fitness testing, as well as media availabilities with Stan Bowman and select players that will be streamed live on Oilers Plus, and we'll be there to cover it every step of the way there. But until then, we have lots of questions, with many media articles, bidding for McDavid, and is the NHL entering its chaos era there? So again, lots of speculation until something actually happens there, as is the case with lots of, stories surrounding Connor McDavid. But that is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments, as any of the news change your opinion on when is this extension going to happen, even if it does at all. I mean, knock on wood, but again, lots of speculation. That's really what we have at this point. Nothing 100%, nothing absolute, just speculation there, and that's the beauty of the NHL offseason. But let me know down in the comments that if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here to Oilers Digest, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Take care. I'm Matt.